Welcome to the Thursday edition of Take 5 for Torah. Today is June 26th, the 30th of Sivan, the first day of Rosh Chodesh Tammuz. And we are discussing Korach's rebellion today. Rav Yoshe Ber Soloveitchik refers to it as the common sense rebellion. And he points to Chazal who connect his revolt to what's written just beforehand at the end of Parshas Shlach. See, Moshe teaches us the din of tzitzis at the end of Shlach, and he says that v'yisem kedoshim lelohechem. You're all holy to your gods, and that's what Korach says. After all, kol ha'am kulam kedoshim. We are all holy. To start with, there's nothing written in the Torah up to now that indicates that we are holy. I insist. It says, you'll be a nation of Kohanim and a holy people. Doesn't it say a Parshas Kedoshim, right, in the middle of Vayikra? Kedoshim Tihiyu. And didn't we just read V'yisem Kedoshim Elohechem? One little small caveat here, you see. There's a little difference. What Korach is wrong is that he says we are all holy. There's no such pasuk like that, although there will be some in Devarim. But until now, in Shmos and Vayikra, and just now at the end of Bamidbar, we were told to strive to be holy. We are not holy. We have to work at being holy. And that's what Korach missed. The common sense rebellion, according to Rav Soloveitchik, is that Korach wants, because I'm holy, I want a seat at the table to determine what tzitzis should be and how it should touch me. Korach wants to be touched by the mitzvah, and he asks Moshe, why do we need that blue thread? And the Gemara in Menachos says that Moshe answered that the blue reminds us of this beautiful color, tcheles. The color is like an aquamarine color, where you see the crashing sea against the horizon, against the blue sky. And where those two meet in the distance, you are so impressed with the sapphire color of God's throne, and you're thinking of the vast, immense empire of the knowledge of God. And you're so impressed that you want to keep all the mitzvahs. You look at this color and these chartim, and you're thinking, wow, I'm thinking of all the mitzvahs when I think of this color. So Korach loves Moshe's answer. But then he says, Moshe, why does it have to be a blue fringe? If the garment is blue, what do I need fringes at all? Let me just wear a blue hanky in my pocket, or a nice blue tie. I can get my blue. How about a sapphire ring? How about a picture on my wall of the crashing sea against the horizon? Look how many ways we could be creative about how to get the tcheles into our lives. Why does it have to be a blue fringe at the end of the corner of the tzitzis, of the garment? And Moshe said, Korach, you're asking a good question. But God told me this is how we reach this mitzvah of tcheles, with the blue fringe. And Korach says, this doesn't make sense. And he goes and he mocks Moshe around the entire nation. Chazal say he asked also about the mezuzah. Why do we need a mezuzah on the door? And Moshe says, so you remember God when you're coming in and when you're going out. And he says, what? If the room has sfarim in it, the room has a sefer Torah in it, what do I need a mezuzah? A mezuzah is just a little piece of the Torah. Moshe says, Korach, it makes sense, but we have to all do the mitzvah the same way. You see, Korach's way is chaotic. It may make common sense, but it's chaotic. If every single person wants a seat at the table to determine how they come to recognize God's holy throne, let's say with the color blue or any other color, and that's not going to work. That's going to be chaotic. Korach's grandson is going to look with his grandson at a picture of a crashing sea against the horizon, and the great-great-grandson is saying, what is that picture? Why do we have that in the house? It says here it belonged to your grandfather. He goes, you know what? I don't remember. I remember Zaidi told me something about this picture, but I just don't remember. So he doesn't have the mitzvah, and he also doesn't have the reasoning behind the mitzvah. It's true, if we're wearing tzitzis and we see the color blue and we're not really feeling the grandeur of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's throne, we might be missing a little something about the mitzvah. But make no mistake, it's not the emotion that creates the mitzvah. It's the mitzvah that's supposed to lead to the emotion. And that's Rav Soloveitchik's explanation for why Korach's rebellion was doomed to failure. And why Moshe's Torah is still observed in joy and in meaning and in perfection down the line. Maybe not by every Jew, but by the ones who know the difference and who know what real Kedusha is.